Hi my friend, thank you for being here. Stress, how to manage stress. Those are hot topics in our world today and will continue being a trending conversation as the world changes and we get flooded with even more media, social media, etc. Ever since I can remember, I've struggled with 4 things: taking things personally, anger, anxiety, and stress. It's been a constant work for me to live a better life, try to be a better person, and the entire time when talking about stress, all I focused on was, stress is so bad for me, I need to learn how to breathe, I need to learn how to relax, and that's what most of the conversation out there is like when it comes to stress. Now, those are necessary things to know and to practice, but some things I learned recently have completely changed the way I look at stress. So I wanted to make an updated video and share with you this life-changing approach. Watch through the end so you don't miss anything. We have a newfound shout out today too. Woohoo! Give me a quick follow on Instagram and Snapchat for weekly content I hope will always give you something new to get inspired by. And every single time you see this today, I would like for you to straighten your back and take a deep breath in and out. But when you breathe in, don't breathe in from your chest like this, but rather breathe in from your belly, expanding your belly outward like this. Okay? Let's do this. Our brains come hardwired with a variety of different protective mechanisms, and when the brain perceives something as being a threat, it signals your body to release a bunch of different hormones to ignite your response. This process has been referred to as the fight or flight response. It's also been called the acute stress response, the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response in post-traumatic stress disorder. Anyway, it's basically the physiological reaction that occurs as a response to a perceived attack or a threat to your well-being or survival. Do you take off? Do you fight? Do you freeze in that moment? That's essentially what this concept is referring to. Once the threat is gone, our bodies are designed to get back to the normal state, but unfortunately, like I said earlier, with so many stimuli and things going on in modern life, that means those alarm systems are constantly stimulated and they so rarely shut off. That's when the conversation changes to extreme stress. 1 in 5 Americans experience extreme stress. The kind of stress that comes with shaking, heart palpitations, and depression. Because the blood vessels constrict, stress is also associated with cardiovascular disease. It's said that it can increase the risk of stroke by 50%, heart disease overall by 40%, and heart attack by 25%. Out of the stressed people, 40% overeat or eat unhealthy foods, and 44% lose sleep at night. All things that lead to physiological consequences as well. Extreme stress reduces gray matter in certain regions of the brain that will shrink it and lead to future psychiatric problems. And I recently learned that stress costs billions more in medical bills than what obesity costs Americans. Now, while knowing this reality is important, most of the time I've spent trying to manage stress has come from the angle that stress is really bad for you. And that's what most of us think, right? I would even say things like, this stress is going to kill me. Now, while the conversations we have about relieving stress are absolutely important, recent studies have shown that people who are stressed and believe stress is harmful to their health and can kill them, those people actually had over 40% increased risk in dying. But people who were stressed but did not believe stress was in fact harmful to them did not have an increased chance of dying. In fact, they had the lowest risk of dying out of all the people studied, even the people with very little stress in their lives. Over the course of 8 years, while scientists were tracking deaths, they estimated that approximately 182,000 Americans died prematurely, not from stress, but from the belief that stress is bad for them. That is over 22,000 people a year. Even if these results are somewhat accurate, that means that the fear of what stress can do is number 15 on the list of leading causes of death in the United States. That's more than drunk driving, drug abuse, prescription drug overdoses, etc. What does that mean? New science says that how you think about stress matters. It says that when you change your mind about stress, you can actually change your body's reaction to it. And when your body changes, you keep those negative reactions at bay. It means that rather than stressing out about being stressed, we should think of stress as an ally. I know this seems far-fetched, but here's why and how. Remember this name, oxytocin. Tons of articles and books and doctors tell us that if we want to be happy and healthy, we have to get rid of or reduce stress in our lives. Unfortunately, trying to eliminate stress is impossible, and attempting to do that usually creates even more stress. But when we understand what is actually happening in our brains when experiencing stress, we can learn how to manage it in the most proactive way. So, oxytocin is a neurohormone, also referred to as the cuddle hormone because it's secreted by the pituitary gland when you hug someone. That is what it's most commonly known as. But that is just one part of what oxytocin is involved in and how it gets discharged. Textbooks talk about adrenaline and cortisol as some of the substances getting released during stress, and there has been irrefutable science backing that those are not good for you. But we've been learning more and more that in many of those stressful situations, oxytocin is also released, and that may very well be the proof of how some of the same stress can be both bad and good. This hormone exerts many psychological effects, some of which influence social behavior and emotion. Oxytocin actually makes you crave physical contact. It increases empathy and compassion. So from an evolutionary perspective, this is a huge advantage. Social isolation is in your detriment. So when you're stressed and this hormone gets released, you feel the need to talk to somebody about how you're feeling. It also means you're tending and nurturing yourself. Stanford professor Kelly McGonigal said that viewing a stressful situation as an opportunity to improve your skills, knowledge, or strengths makes it more likely that you will have a challenge response instead of a fight or flight response, which I explained earlier. This in turn increases the chance that you will learn from the experience. You basically get on the right evolutionary path when that happens. The moral of the story is that if you want to handle stress more effectively, you shouldn't label all stress as bad. If you try to look at stress with a different mindset, you will absolutely be much better at coping with it. The alarms your brain signals are extremely valuable. When stress is in your body, it means that you have trouble ahead that you should look out for, or you are being faced with having to make an important decision. Stress is basically your feedback. It means that it's time to focus on what is really important to you. The one proactive thing to living a liberated life that most of us have not been taught is to intentionally listen to the stress messages the brain sends us. Listen rather than immediately try to fight off and put to rest and shut down and get rid of. In actuality, stress forces us to think about what's really important to us. And as you start thinking clearly and start identifying the answers that will serve you, the alarm will slowly start fading away and your body will get into a more calm state once again. The brain sends out alarms because we need them. If a disaster is happening in front of you, you need to react. But most times when we feel that stress, it's merely an opportunity to notice something you should pay attention to. Look at it as your incredible body preparing you for something that may or may not come your way. And I say that because in actuality, our brains cannot tell the difference between an imaginary fear and a real one. So I did an echocardiogram last month and found out that 3 of the 4 heart valves are mildly leaking and one of them is prolapsed. Some of the side effects are palpitations and shortness of breath, which I've experienced on and off my entire life. But ever since learning that I have this every day like clockwork, I have moments where I need to catch my breath, like right now. In the same doctor's appointment, I learned that I tested positive for RA, rheumatoid arthritis. Sexy. And although I've had joint issues for some time, since being diagnosed, every other day I get sharp pains, particularly in the right hand, sometimes making even makeup application a little challenging. Now, I'm not sharing these things to get any sympathy. I just want to explain how powerful our brains really are. The really good news though is that we hold the power. You can choose which hormonal profile you associate with your moment of stress, and hopefully next time you experience stress, you will remember this video and you will tell yourself, this, what I'm feeling right now, is my body preparing me for a challenge. Then and there, in that moment, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? That is mindfulness. You will start feeling your heart beating faster. You'll be able to acknowledge your breath. This mindfulness puts you back into the driver's seat so you can regain control of your physical physical vehicle. It does take practice to actively notice these things and get into the moment, but it is absolutely possible by practicing with that question. And if somebody with ADHD can do it, so can you. Next, ask yourself a second question. What's my body trying to tell me I need to prepare for? Now you are rethinking your stress response, and that is going to win you the battle. You can choose to see your heart pounding because your body's preparing you for action. The faster breath is simply pumping more oxygen into the brain, and that's always a good thing. You can look at stress as something helpful. Your brain telling you that when life gets difficult, it's time to surround yourself with people who care about you, to socialize, to engage, to evolve, to make decisions, to find your clarity. This outlook on stress will make you healthier and help you feel better because oxytocin protects your cardiovascular system from the effects of stress. It's a natural anti-inflammatory and it helps your heart cells to regenerate from previous stress-induced damage. So when you seek support or when you help someone else, a friend, a relative, a neighbor, or you volunteer your time, you only release more of this hormone and help heal yourself. This stress hormone strengthens your heart and your stress response becomes healthier. In that moment of mindfulness, right after you've asked yourself those questions and you gain more control over your body and awareness, pencil in your calendar a day in that same week when you volunteer some of your time. Volunteering is a very useful strategy in providing stress relief, and what I recommend is to be prepared for moments like that. Find 2 or 3 charities in your area, look them up today, charities that you're interested in, causes that you're passionate about, and find out how you can volunteer. We should do that, period, but just keep that in mind, especially when you're going through stress, that volunteering is extremely beneficial to relieving stress. Now, I already made 3 relevant videos to this topic. One about how to relieve stress, and I gave you some physical exercises that you can do while sitting in your chair. Another video where I talked about anxiety, progressive muscle relaxation, and diaphragm breathing, which will help you feel better. And a third about the different relaxation techniques, basically relaxing based on what you respond best to: sight, smell, sound, etc. After you've become a little more aware, more in control of your body and your emotions, and you've penciled in a little volunteering time which mentally already gave you some relief to the stress already, I want you to do 3 things from those videos that same day to unwind. You have over 50 effective solutions in those videos, and it's up to you to write them down and create a toolbox, like an arsenal of sorts, if you will. And as you feel stress, you can reference those. You can go there, you can pick and choose which one you can immediately do to shift your energy. You can't get rid of stress, but you can choose how to view stress. And when you do that, you are not only getting better at stress, but you create a positive biology. Then, as you connect with others and self-nurture, you will not only change your health, but you will make a profound positive change in your life. In my email to you this week, I will put together a little arsenal, like the toolbox that I just mentioned you should have, with a bunch of different ideas all together in one place that you can choose from when needing to relieve stress. Sign up for the email if you'd like to have access to that information and other past and future private content, and definitely keep in touch with me on social media. Today's fan shout out goes out to Alina Hurloiu, a beauty who's been with me here for a while, practically from the beginning stages of my YouTube channel. Alina, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I choose the shout outs from comments, so definitely say hi and talk to me if you'd like to be featured. Let me know what you think of this video or what other topic you'd like to see on my channel. I love you so much for watching. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you again in a few short days in a new video. Bye!